Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Martha and this is my Moxie life. I'm a flight attendant and I do flight attendant stuff. Take you on trips with me and teach you about what it's like to do this crazy job. Right now, I am sitting in my car. I am at the employee lot. I'm a little bit early. Actually, I'm kind of a lot early. I have to pick up my new employee badge today. So I need to give myself some extra time to get to the lounge because the lounge is outside of security. So I have to go all the way down to where the lounge is and then back over to security and get to my gate by, well, I check in at 1:35. So that gives me 30 minutes of cushion. And right now it's only like 12:15. So I'm perfectly on time for getting all that done. We are going to Deadhead to Phoenix to start our trip, and then we are going to fly to Dallas and end up in San Antonio. Somewhat of a short day. I don't really love starting with a deadhead because it kind of makes me sleepy to work. I love ending with a deadhead because I get a little extra nappy nap in usually. But whatever, that's fine. I mean, obviously I have no choice. But so I overnight in San Antonio again. Tried to find another trip, but everything was AM, and y'all know how I feel about AM trips. So I am gonna be in San Antonio, I think, for like 15 hours. I don't really plan on going out and about because I did last time, and I may go get breakfast tomorrow. I don't know. Trying to not spend as much money. I spent a little too much money last trip, so trying to save my pennies a little bit. I had to use my savings to pay for some unexpected expenses because life, and so I am trying to build my savings back up. So on this trip, I think I'm gonna be somewhat of a slam clicker. If you don't know what a slam clicker is, that means I go in my room and I shut my door and I lock it and don't really come out for much. So, I'm not usually the, slam clicker type, but I might be this time. We'll see. I might work out, and that's about it. But I do want to share a couple things about what I've been doing, why I had 11 days off, and also wanted to talk about, I have been wanting to for a while to tell you guys some pros and cons of working for different airlines. And I've been asking around to friends of mine and people that I know that work for other airlines. It is not a definitive list by any means, but might be somewhat interesting if you're looking into flying or working with any certain airline. And if anybody is out there who works for any of these airlines and has any pros and cons they'd love to share, please do so in the comments. I would love to hear. All right, so let's get into some of that info now. Let's go. friends, welcome. I am in Detroit again. Yay. And so crazy. Last night I woke up, I noticed there was like a flashing. I was trying to go to sleep and I opened my eyes and took my earplug out and there was another huge storm. Crazy. I think Detroit is just out to teach me a lesson or something. I don't remember all these storms when I was based here, but I don't know. Crazy. Is that normal? Summer crazy storms like that? So anyway, I wanted to come on and do a little bit of a sit down. I haven't done this in a while since I didn't really go out and about in San Antonio and I'm not going anywhere in Detroit. I wanted to share a little bit of what's been going on with me. On my last video, I shared that I had 11 days off, which sounds luxurious, but I was actually very busy. So you may remember that I mentioned doing some background work on a couple of TV shows, and I do love theater and I do love being involved in acting and all that kind of stuff. So there is a local theater company that some friends of mine run in our town, and every summer they do what's called the Speakeasy Project. I don't know why I can't say that. The Speakeasy Project. And so they kind of set it up as a speakeasy scenario where it's kind of clubby looking, dark, and every year it has a theme, a different theme, and there are 4 one-act plays and then some music like interspersed. It's kind of an immersive type of thing, so the people at the door kind of mess with you a little bit, and yeah. So, which not everybody loves, I get that. But anyway, that's what it is. So it's a very fun event, and this year it runs for 3 weekends, and I actually am playing a role in one of the 4 one-act plays, and also I am helping stage manage, so shuffling furniture on and off the stage. It has been very fun and very busy. So that week that I took off, or I was able to rearrange my schedule to take off, was filled with rehearsals and tech work and just getting ready basically for the performances. So anyway, that is what I've been doing, what I've been keeping myself busy with, and why my schedule was so open for 11 days. But moving on. So I have been wanting to do this for a while, and I have not fleshed it out probably as much as I should, but I wanted to just go forward with it, and then I can add to it later. I can do another video about it if you guys have questions. But I wanted to talk about pros and cons of different airlines. I know a few people who work for or have worked for a few different airlines, and so I wanted to share with you. So I have some notes. I will be kind of referring to those, so please excuse me if I look down at my notes, but I want to be accurate. Now, this is not a comprehensive list. This is not, I have not, researched all this. This is coming from people who actually work or worked at these airlines. I will not be saying like who they are or anything like that, so I'm not going to reveal anything. But, and so I would love if you have questions about a specific airline, maybe post it in the comments, or if you know of some things that we missed or something that might be interesting, especially if people are interviewing or trying to get a job with a different airline. That would be super fun. I don't have a ton of airlines, but I do have a few of the bigger ones. All right, so I am going to start with SkyWest Airlines, and this is not like a definitive list. Obviously, there's so many facets and so many things that I don't even know about, and all of these things are regarding flight attendants. So pilots are under a different category, rampers, different categories. So all these work groups have their own set of things that probably like are positives and negatives. So this is flight attendants only. All right, so I'm going to start with the things that would be considered cons of SkyWest Airlines. One is 24-hour reserve. So when you first start out at SkyWest, you're on reserve, usually a 3-day block, 24 hours nonstop. They can basically call you at any point. They do have to give you breaks if you do work in between, but essentially it's 3 days, 24 hours. there is no duty day guarantee. So say I go out and I fly one leg, I get paid for that one leg, however many hours that is. So I think from what I gather, the pilots have a duty day guarantee. So that means no matter what they do, they get a minimum amount of hours that they fly. So basically, if they leave their house, they know they're going to get paid a certain number of hours, which for me would be fabulous because I won't drive to the airport for less than like 7 credits on my schedule, because the time in traffic, the gas is just not worth it. So if I knew I was going to get a minimum of 6 something anyway, no matter what, then I would be more willing to pick up some of those smaller things. But anyway, that's just me. I know there are people who live close to the airport that are fine with that. You do not time out for SkyWest Airlines as a flight attendant. I think the maximum duty day is like 16, but there is no such thing as timing out, whereas pilots have a timeout date, or pilots have a timeout, like a cutoff. Like if they are on duty for a certain amount of hours and for some reason there's a delay or something, they can't go. Like they're done. So if you've ever heard of that, if you've ever like had a plane be delayed or canceled because the crew timed out, it's the pilots. It's not the flight attendants. We don't time out. We can work forever apparently. And then another one is no reroute language for line holders. So if you have a line month, or like for people who don't have to work reserve anymore. So in SkyWest Airlines, once you're in the top 35% of your base, as far as seniority is concerned, you are a line holder. Like every month you will get a line. But if you are flying a trip and for some reason something happens, you are basically treated as a reserve. Your schedule can be pulled apart and changed, and you can have completely different scenario, which is kind of what happened. We had a trip, the one last week that I posted about. If you want to go back and check that out, I'll link to it. But we were supposed to be overnighting in New York, and they had to change things up, and we ended up in Dallas, and then we ended up switching to an AM. It was supposed to be a PM, we switched to an AM. So that was kind of crazy. So I know that they're working on a lot of these things in the contract. Don't know how they'll change or not, but those are just some things that, they don't make it to where like one would not want to work for SkyWest, but they are definitely things that make it a little more stressful, a little more difficult. So here's some pros. My notes went off. Best one, I think, that we could say, and I'm pretty sure every other airline has this. If you work for another airline and you have the same scenario, please let me know. I don't think any other airline has this. SkyWest has no maximums and no minimums. So that means within a quarter, within a month, you do not have to fly a certain amount, nor are you capped at a certain amount. So there are people who fly little to no flying, and there are people who fly as much as they can possibly cram into their schedule legally. So, which is a great thing. If somebody wants to work and needs, wants to pack their schedule for 1 month and then maybe take the next month off or something, you can do that. And I know there's not a lot, if any, other airlines that do this. The flexibility of our schedule, as far as I know, is unmatched. We can switch, trade, reserves can trade with line holders, vice versa. You can move things around. Basically, you can just flip your schedule upside down from what you get assigned after you bid for your schedule, which is really, really nice. You can, if you're desperate to get rid of something, you can pay somebody to take, like, if I have a reserve block and I really, really need those days off and just nobody seems to want to take them, I can offer, $50 up to however much. Some people during the holidays pay a lot of money to get rid of blocks. SkyWest has a great commuter clause that basically protects those who fly into work. The requirement is that they must list and be there for one SkyWest flight or 2 of any other airline flight. Essentially, it does sound a little better than it is, honestly, because one instance, I tried to commute out of Seattle, and I tried 3 Alaska flights, called them, and they're like, oh, hey, there's this other one more Southwest flight that was like really late. So I basically stayed at the airport all day waiting for this flight, and then it ended up getting canceled at like midnight, which, you know, was, I mean, there's nothing you could do. It kind of knew it was going to get canceled from the get-go, but I had to stay, and then I ended up paying for a hotel in Seattle, and then having to take the first flight out to get to my reserve block. It was not ideal. So it's not as lovely as it sounds, because they really want you to like try every avenue. So, and it's not just trying that. So anyway, it's nice to have, but not always ideal. Pay, I feel like right now, because we're in the middle of contract negotiations, I know that there's a couple airlines that are starting their flight attendants out a little higher than us, but I feel confident in the end that we will end up on top again. That is my confident, putting that into the universe. I'm really trying to keep this like that I don't work there, but clearly I do. And then company match, I actually did a search on best company matches for 401ks contributions, and ours is the highest by far. Southwest gives 9.3% match to your contributions, and then you are fully vested after 5 years. As a flight attendant, I don't know if that's, I'm pretty sure the 9.3 match is across the board as far as all the work groups. I don't know about the vested part of it. I think it's the same too. So I am coming up, I'm actually celebrating my 4-year anniversary at my airline next week, and then 1 more year and I'm fully vested. So that means anything that I have contributed in addition to anything that my company has matched will be mine. So if I ever leave or whenever I decide to retire. So that is great. All right, let's move on. I am going to do Air Canada, because that one is kind of short and have a lot of information on that one. So this one is Air Canada. Apparently you have to speak French and English. Before you did not have to, and now you do. If you want to work A or first class, you have to put your name on a list to become a service director, and it is a long list apparently. Apparently you get a black scarf and wings, and you become the boss of the cabin. I don't know if I would want that responsibility. I know, like, sometimes with my airline people call it the lead, but like that's not really a thing, so it's just funny to me. But anyway, some more pros. They have great layovers, and they go to 101 different countries, at least what they did before the pandemic. We're not sure about that, like the little caveat there. They have good crew meals. Not great pay. So cons, not great pay. You have to go to training for 8 weeks. I did hear that they're very particular about how their flight attendants like carry themselves, how they speak. Whereas, you know, like with Southwest, we're a little more like relaxed, a little more jokey, little, you know, everybody has their shtick. And I guess they start at $28.85 an hour. So I don't know how that is in Canada speak, but yeah. Okay, let's go on to Delta. Delta. This person does not like, sometimes they do not feel appreciated or valued, and I feel like that is across the board with flight crews. Sometimes everybody just feels that way, by the company, by the passengers, by pilots, by other work groups. It's just, yeah, true. Sometimes they implement changes without talking directly to the employees it affects. I feel like everybody does that, although because Delta does not have a union, which I know they are trying to get one, that's probably a little more true for them than other airlines with unions, so that stinks. there is a divide between the non-union and union employees. They don't have one, like I said, but people are very vocal and very opinionated about which side they are on. Things we like about Delta: the ability to go international, 100%. Like, I would love that. I don't know how it would handle the really long flights. I guess you'd get used to it. And flexibility of different routes. So there's a lot of flying, so you could switch it up. They have good pay and profit sharing, and there are different opportunities to grow within the company. You can move around and try different roles if you want to and need to. I thought this was super interesting. If you decide that role that you're trying out is not for you, you can switch back. You keep your seniority. Your pay is adjusted but doesn't ever go down, which is crazy to me, because I know, like, for Southwest, if like say an ops agent becomes a flight attendant, they go to 0 as far as flight attendant seniority. But apparently with Delta, if this person says there was a gate agent there was a person who was a gate agent for 7 years and kept her seniority as a flight attendant, which is kind of crazy. Like, I feel like flight attendants would be pissed off about that. Like, ones that have been there a while, but I don't know. So anyway, that's Delta. All right, moving on. SkyWest. Okay, so I worked for SkyWest, my first airline. Your schedule is often not your own. Scheduling can do whatever they want to you, really. If you don't know how to go with the flow, this is not the job for you. 100%, any airline you work for. You're going to miss out on things. Yes, this is true of any airline when you first start. When you're new, you get the poopy bottom of the barrel schedule. Hey, it is confusing when it first start, and it sucks. Moving is lame, and so is commuting. Commuting is there are people that have commuted for years and years and years, which I think I mentioned in my commuting video, but I can't imagine. Like, you have to really be like all in. I mean, I guess if you're flying for a long time and you've, established your pay, you've established your seniority, you really don't want to leave. You have a lot of flexibility, so you just suck it up and commute. Uniforms are a blessing and a curse. I think that it goes across the board. It is nice to not have to think about what you wear. It's kind of like school uniforms, like, you're just going to show up and be in the uniform, and whether it's ugly or hot or whatever, like, everyone's wearing the same thing. And one thing this person said that I thought was really like a great point, you do have a lot of downtime because you are in hotels like me. Like, I'm just chilling here, like, trying to figure out something to do with my life, or you have 3-4 days off at a time. So if you want to do a side hustle, you can, because you have time to do it. If you want to have a second job, some airlines require you to report that, which I know Southwest does. So yeah. All right, pros: flexibility in scheduling and being able to have different days off than the normal 9 to 5. So this does not come right out of the gate at SkyWest, 100%. Like, my schedule was horrific when I first started. Like, I had, especially commuting, I had 3 weeks where I just couldn't go home. So that was not lovely. The actual job, it is a pretty easy job, unless you have like medicals or emergencies, or people who are just high maintenance. It's a pretty easy job. A lack of upward mobility. Yeah, there's really nowhere to go unless you want to go to corporate, and I don't think most people want to do that. I mean, with most airlines, if you want to go corporate, you have to move to the city, and that's the great thing about flying, is that you can pretty much live anywhere. So that's pretty cool. Going places and seeing people and places you never thought you would. I said that right from the get-go. There are so many little towns that I was able to go to that I never would have had on my list or even known that existed without flying, especially for SkyWest, because they just go into these little itty-bitty towns. And travel when you do get the time off, and if you have the money. So that's SkyWest. All right, the last one I have, I feel like this is going on forever. The last one I have is United, I think, yeah. All right, so this person says, things I love: flexibility and time off. It might take some shuffling around, but I pretty much can always have whatever days off or time off I want at 4-year seniority. So they got hired around the same time I did with my airline to United. Including holidays. It wasn't easy. It wasn't quite as easy when I was on reserve, though. True. Number 2, we serve the most international destinations, so it makes flying fun when you can get them even if you don't work them. It makes non-revving easier. So if you want to fly for fun for free, it makes that, or for very cheap, it makes that super fun. As much as I love and hate the union, they can come in handy when it comes to defending you, restoring your pay. Hates. Okay, the 24-hour call system on reserve. So they have a 24-hour call system on reserve. It's ridiculously brutal, and there's no reason it has to be so tiring and inhuman. Yeah, I don't understand why they do that. I think it just makes it easier on them. Call wait times for crew scheduling are insane. Sometimes when it's irregular operations, for sure. I don't know about, like, with Southwest, it's not really, like, normally it's not bad. If there's something crazy going on in the system, then yes. They can be 3 hours. That's insane, especially if you got stranded. And this person said they almost missed a deadhead once because they never gave their PNR number to check in. And that's like your little code, you know, like when you get a ticket, you get a PNR number. And they said they kept bugging the Chicago staff. This person loves the union. They said, what I love about the union is also what I hate about the union. As they said in number 3, they're pretty good at defending your rights, but the union do suck to pay when we don't make much. That's true. You never want to have more things taken out of your check. In addition, because the union is so big, it's hard to corral everyone together as a cohesive union. I'm seeing that as well for our airline. Negotiations take forever, while flight attendants can only sit and wait. Delta always beats us to the good stuff, like boarding pay, when actually that proposal was proposed by our union first. I don't know if that's true, but I think everybody wants that, and we just can't implement anything in an efficient amount of time. Yeah, it just does take forever. Like, I think they said their union is at the same amount of time that it's been. So we've been waiting for a contract for 4 years. So basically, right after I started this airline, that's when the new contract was supposed to be voted on, and we're still waiting. And I think United is the same. So there you go. There are some pros and cons. I know that was a lot of information. Please feel free to slow it down and pick it apart and ask questions. I think it's very interesting how the airlines are all very different but also similar. And I don't know if you guys know this, but most of the time, flight attendants from other airlines, we feel like we are family. Just because we're all in the flight family and we all kind of like have the same struggles and the same kind of lifestyle, because flight attending is definitely a weird lifestyle that I know a lot of people don't understand. And I still feel like I explain my schedule to my friends and they're like, what, why, where are you? How, when are you coming home? And so it's nice to know that even though we work for different companies, that we have each other as, you know, essentially sisters and brothers, to kind of be like, I know what you're going through, and I know what you're going through, and we're all gonna be okay, right? So thank you so much for watching. I know this was kind of a long one and hopefully not boring. I hope it was a little bit interesting, and I can't wait to see what's next. I have a little bit of a crazy schedule in September. I got 5 reserve blocks, which I traded out a couple because I've got a fun trip that I'm going on, but I'm not gonna tell you yet. So stay tuned for some fun trips and more flight attendant content. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have not, please like this video and subscribe. Pass it on to someone who might be interested. Thanks again. Have a great day.